All right. So in terms of injuries there, I think we had two guys that didn't make it out of that one, and that was Tyreek. He had a shoulder, and Cole had a back. So we'll see where they're at tomorrow. I think this game really started and finished there with our defense. They just did a phenomenal job throughout. When you look at those critical numbers, it was 44 yards rushing. I saw 4 sacks and 4 turnovers, and I just thought, credit to Dennis Allen and his crew one more time. They're doing a great job getting us the ball on offense with great field position, and it certainly gives us a ton of momentum in games like that. And so they just did an awesome job. Offensively, the 200 yards rushing, I think both ball carriers ran physical, ran violent, but huge credit to our offensive line and the tight ends in that core blocking unit, because you could feel that line of scrimmage move at times, and our backs were finding the holes. So that was really the name of the game there. A lot that we can clean up and we can improve. That's always a good thing. We'll coach these guys hard, and we'll turn our page onto Baltimore soon after this. Open it up.
With the running game, how satisfying is it to have come out of the bye week with answers and found something there that's giving you some life?
Yeah, no, I think we've been pretty consistent with that message, that it was just going to take a little bit of time to get our O-line on the same page and feel good about their fits and their combinations, and I think that's starting to come together. You accumulate the reps over the course of camp and through these first 5 games going into the 6th one here, and I think you really see it start to come to life a little bit. So credit to them. I feel really good. They're really well coached. Dan Rochar, Kyle Devan, they do phenomenal jobs, and they've been very consistent with that crew. It's a prideful group. Obviously, they want to protect the quarterback in the passing game, and they want to be able to run for 200 every week in the running game. So really proud of what that looked like today.
You had several red zone trips today that didn't result in touchdowns, but field goals. What do you think was the problem that prevented you all from getting those 7 points instead of the 4?
We'll have to take a look at it. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Coach, these turnovers is consistent. It's weekly now. It's not like just some once in a while type of thing. What do you most contribute to how the defense is taking the ball away?
Yeah, I think they come in bunches, and these guys we got a method in place of how we want to practice it. Dennis does a great job with instilling that confidence in those guys, putting them in the right spot. When the ball touches their hands, they're coming down with it. We really don't have many drops on that side of the ball. They're very conscious of it when it's a running play to try to punch at that ball and get it out. And so, it's just really working for us right now, and really our team needs it. I mean, it's really been the foundation of this last 4-game stretch for us.
And Deshaun's takeaway seemed to be the spark early for you. What did you see both on the interception and then the return that obviously gave you good
Which one?
Deshaun's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a great catch. And then we've really been emphasizing, because we've been getting all these, is how do we turn these into whether it's in scoring range or getting in the end zone ourselves on defense. And so all of our guys are taking a ton of pride in getting connected after an interception like that and looking to make key blocks so that we can extend that. I thought Shawnee hopped on up and was really, I thought he was going to go down once or twice, and he just kept on going. So you might have to give him the ball a little bit on offense as well.
And you talked about the discipline, the details, the things you want to clean up. And striking that balance of doing that, what's your message to the team afterwards in terms of looking ahead and getting those things right?
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of when you win. You can usually coach a little bit harder, and so we're always truth tellers on Monday in particular. And when it's good, we'll tell them when it's good. When it's bad, we'll tell them what we got to clean up. And so there's a number of things there today that we can get better at.
You see a little reversion, following up to that question, in terms of some of the sloppiness overall?
Say it again.
Some of the sloppiness, did you see a little bit of reverting back to some of the issues that you guys?
No, I would say I was hopeful that Game 6 we would play cleaner football than that.
Any sense of what happened on the 4th and goal? There was a missed exchange, but then there was a false start.
Yeah, they blew it dead, false start, so moved us back and ended up kicking.
Do you know what happened with Caleb and Drew there?
No.
Coach, it was just the 2 drives for the defense wrapped around halftime. They kind of let some things get away. How disappointing was that when you guys were dominating the game and looking to go into halftime?
Yeah, I mean, I put the before half on us offensively as much as is giving up that big play on defense. You know, we had that 3 and out. We had control of possessing that ball before halftime, and we didn't do a good enough job. I think that's 2 weeks in a row there. We've had a 3 and out before halftime. Something that we practice, something that we really stress, and we're not getting the job done there. So we put the defense in a bad spot. I thought we limited their explosives throughout that day, except for the one before halftime that resulted in points for them. So, and then, you know, out of halftime, I thought we had some chances, and we just couldn't stop them. But beyond those 2 drives, I thought the defense played some of the best ball we played all year.
You guys took the ball to start the game, so they got it back after the half. You guys been getting out pretty early in these first quarters, and the Saints were struggling defensively in the first quarter coming into this game. Was that kind of the thinking? It didn't really play out that way. Was that the thinking when you took the ball?
No, it's weather related. You know, it's a windy day, so I want to be able to control in the second half which way we're going.
How do you view the overall trajectory offensively through 6 games now?
Yeah, up and down. So that's what we've looked like. We haven't hit our stride yet offensively. We're capable of a lot more. We have very talented individuals. I feel strongly in our coaching staff, but we're not complementing our defense on a regular basis. With the number of turnovers we've had over the last 4 games, we should be able to turn those into more points.
What has to click? What are you seeing that if this clicks, it'll level out? It'll be a lot smoother?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things, and so that's something we'll look at on the tape and see what we got to clean up. You know, we still have the false starts. You know, the good thing was the running game was working. The passing game wasn't nearly efficient enough for us here today.
And Dennis downplayed the significance of facing his former team today. But from your perspective, what's your appreciation for 4 turnovers, the defense doing what it did, and Dennis's unit being part of the win?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly led the charge there. We don't win that game if they don't play that well. They just did an outstanding job, and you know, I kind of felt it over the course of the week there with the 2 practices that we were able to get in. That schematically, he had some really good thoughts that we're going to put some stress there on the offense, and you know, I thought that the defense they knew where to be, they knew what they were looking for, and it was huge.
Then before seeing the tape, how do you sense that Caleb played just from experience out there today?
Yeah, hard to say off the cuff. You know, you just go off the numbers, and you know, like I said, we weren't efficient enough in the passing game. So we'll see why that was.
Go ahead, Jason. When you see him scrambling around quite a bit in the pocket, is that what you want him doing in those situations, those 10 to 12 second plays, or do you need something more decisive, quicker than that?
No, we design a play to work through the progression, and if he feels pressure, then that's when he looks to move on from there. And so, you know, I'll go back, I'll look at that. I don't feel like we've had a ton of those up until today. I know we had maybe 2 or 3 more of those today than what I've normally felt. So we'll see what was the reason why and what can we do better. But, you know, the broken down plays in general through 6 games, I don't think it's given us the yardage that we would like.
Had a pretty significant challenge that you won there. What was the process of, you know, getting to the point of dropping that play?
Yeah, we got a good replay booth upstairs, and so they're getting footage, and you know, it looked really, really close. We felt like it was close enough to be forward from the couple of angles that we got. Really good communication on the headset with that, and the fact that their offense wasn't going super fast gave us plenty of time to make sure we were exhausting all avenues.
And we've talked about DeAndre in recent weeks. As a coach, how satisfying is it for you to see a guy like that be rewarded for kind of his head-down effort that he gives you all the time?
Yeah, I think that's all of our guys. You just keep going back to work. When things go your way, you go back to work. When things are hard, you go back to work. That's really the answer for everything, and that's what we're going to continue to do as a team. But to your point, Swifty has done a great job here these last 2 weeks. You know, we're at the point of the season now where no one feels 100% anymore, you know, and that's what it's going to be the rest of the way. None of those guys feel great. Their bodies don't feel good. And yet you still show up and you find a way to be there for your teammate next to you, and Swifty certainly exemplifies that.
And was Grady Jarrett close today, or what went into that decision?
We'll see. You know, we got him back there in practice. That was Friday, right? And so we'll see what it looks like next week in terms of his availability for next Sunday,
But why not today?
because he wasn't ready.
I think it just comes down to understanding the situation. I think it also comes down to being able to get our players an explosive ball. If we complete the passes that I missed about 5 or 6, I think, on the run, which is extremely frustrating for me. Especially just kind of how my nature's been for past couple years of my career, and I think if I hit those, nothing said. But it's just being able to understand in those situations that even if I'm not hitting or anything like that, how a QB run in those situations where maybe the defense calls a good call or a perfect call or whatever the case may be, the QB takes off and gets positive yards. I think I've done a good job with that so far this year. I think today I did not, and so just being able to learn from it and move on.
Do you have any sense for why you didn't do a good job with that today? Any reason that?
I think guys got open. And I think I missed, and I think that's what it boils down to. And then other than that, it's just being able to have have it on my conscience that I can help this team not only by scrambling and delivering a good ball to receivers, which I didn't do that well today, and is also understanding that I can run and hurt a team with my legs.
The team in the locker room seems to be a great place to be at 4-2.
Yes.
Also a lot of room for improvement. How do you
Absolutely.
How do you kind of put those two things together and build a mindset off?
Yeah, think about it. I threw an interception today, and defense had 4 turnovers, 4 sacks. I threw an interception. I didn't play well today, and then the offensive line, pushes us through. DeAndre Swift and the backs push us through for 200-plus yards on ground. And so it's being able to find ways to win is what we've been able to do, and we're going to keep doing that. But it's also being able to find ways to come together as one, that when defense has a turnover, we go down and put 7 on the board, not a field goal. And that accounts for me. That accounts for all of us on offense. That accounts for just everything overall. And so it's just being able to execute the plays that are called. It's being able to, when you have those moments for explosive plays, we connect on them. I deliver a good ball, or offensive line does a good job of blocking up, and the backs hitting the hole and having explosive plays. So I think overall there's a lot of growth that can be had, and it's insane to think that, and we're 4-2. About how much growth we have left, myself included, and like I said before, we want to hit the ground running at the right time, where we're all hitting on all cylinders. Defense is playing, great, and I want to, have them have their back, and just like they have ours, and we want to keep that rolling.
How frustrating is it to see the pre-snap penalties and there's some center snap exchange problems? Drew took blame for that.
Yep.
Tough to see that kind of return today.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's the pre-snap stuff, the center QC exchange. It is frustrating just because we put so much time and energy into it. But I wouldn't say I put that on Drew or anybody. I can take that blame just because it comes down to cadence. It comes down to everybody being on one page and having everybody calm and understanding. We're going to go execute this play, and we just need to snap the ball at the right time and be able to hit plays at the right time, execute the plays, and that comes down to communication. That comes down to knowing what we have to do. That comes down to the cadence at the end of the day. And so I can always help in those situations, and we'll be better with that coming forth.
How do you handle the progress being kind of up and down?
Mhm.
You like it to be linear and just progressively steps forward. How do you deal with step forward, step back?
Yep.
Game like today.
Yeah. You're saying for myself or offense? What are you saying?
Either one. Which one do you want to answer?
I'll go for myself. Days like today, I would say, are needed, just in the sense of it gives you a little bit more to be able to look back on something and figure out what. And so that's important. And so you have these moments, and then you get later in the season, and you may start to have one of these moments, and you get to go back to the feeling, go back to what was wrong, and what you need to figure out early in the season. And so now, when we're late in the season, it's like, okay, I remember what it was. I remember, how can I fix it? It's more of a solution-based, thing instead of it being like, what's the issue? And so right now we're going to go back. I'm going to go look at the film. I'm going to figure out, and I am going to figure this out, especially with, some of these explosive plays, some of these, mainly talking about the on-the-run stuff. And I haven't been efficient with those. I haven't been hitting them, and it's frustrating. And so I'm gonna, we're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure it out. When we start hitting on those cylinders, where we start having some of these explosive plays, especially when the play breaks, and it turns into our second play, it's going to be, real devastating to the other side. So we're going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. And then other than that, it just comes down to the basics: feet, eyes, delivering a good ball to the guys, and then it comes down to, like I said before, communication and make sure everybody's on the same page, and we're rolling off the ball.
Caleb, in your life, high school, college, pros, have you ever had a game like this where you weren't particularly prolific and your team still won?
I can't necessarily off the top of my head name the game, but yeah, there's been games where I may not have had my best game, and maybe ran the ball. I think there was a game where we ran the ball for around 200 yards, and I had 100-something yards passing, and maybe one touchdown, and you're just as excited. I mean the progress that we've had over on offense, especially coming off these past 2 weeks of being able to run the damn ball. As every offensive line wants to do and says. And so there are things that I can be better at. There are things that I'm going to be better at. There are things that, weren't hitting today. And you just have those days sometime. And it's nice that we have a defense, we have a special teams, a punter, or whatever you want to say, kicker, that can put us ahead, that can help us win games, a run game that can, control the game. And so, we get this figured out on my side. We'll be putting up a lot of points to be very dangerous.
Caleb, after the loss in Detroit, you set an optimistic tone saying that we got 15 games left, and sensibly, you won 4 straight sits. What's the feeling for you now at 4-2 and looking ahead to what could come here?
Yeah, belief. Still, it's confidence. It's belief. It's living in the known. The feeling of myself this year, in the sense of when we have games, when we're going through the game plan, when we get to the end of the week, it's more of a feeling of we know we're going to win. And that's not always going to be the case, but the feeling of it is different than maybe or we got to go out here and play a perfect game or anything like that. It's living in the known of the feeling of we're going to come out here and win the game. And obviously a lot of things have to go right, and we got to execute, and we got to, communication, all these different things. Defense has played well, offense has played well, special teams, all 3 sides of the ball. But living in the known is kind of where we're at. Even when we were 0-2, we were still living in the known that we're going to, fight back, and, we're going to be 2-2, and then we'll go 3-2, and then we'll be 4-2. And so it's living in the known. We have to, do things throughout the week, hard work, stand late, do all the right things, but living in the known is where we're living, and we got to stay there. We got to keep being consistent. We got to hold each other accountable. We got to do the right things to be able to stay consistent and be the team we want to be.
What's your interpretation of how the running game has gotten unlocked the way it has the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's come down to one mentality. I think the other one is the way the coaches have been able to help us on the offense and things like that, of shifts and motions and things like that. When you start shifting in motion and you have crisscross when the ball is snapped, also it affects defenses, and it puts people out of place so that it can help with double teams or triple teams or getting up to the second level. And when you start getting up to the second level, like I said last week, and we got the backs that we have and things like that, you start seeing big creases and real explosive positive runs, and that only helps us. We got to keep that rolling, and we got to get the other half going again.
Last one, 4-2 compared to last year's 4-2.
Yeah, I think I would say similar in a way. Obviously, just because you're 4-2 and you got things rolling. But I think at this moment, I think what I said recently or just a minute ago is the living in the known of if we do the right things throughout the week, if we practice the right ways, if we if we do enough studying, if we watch enough film, if we do all the right things, we got the coaches, we got the players, we got the belief in each other, coaches, everybody inside that building that we will come out with a win, and I think that's the difference.